How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours talking pro wrestling, talking more about WrestleMania, which we talked about last night. We got Brian Alvarez here, and we're going to be taking your phone calls and your emails. We can also talk about anything else that you want to talk about pro wrestling, mixed martial arts, or anything, any subject under the sun. We can even talk about bodybuilding. And you want to call up about that, but obviously we're going to mainly talk about WrestleMania and the current political climate. In fact, tonight is the big night because it is the first night where we will never see Nitro again on Monday night.
It's really weird.
Right.
Can you hear me?
You know what? It's. I think the fact that because last night was WrestleMania and it was such a long show, and then we did this afterwards, that I'm not really ready for two wrestling shows, so I'm not going to feel it this week.
No.
Other people may. Next,
I'm going to feel the fact that it's not going to be on. It's not going to be like, wow, where's that other 2 hours of wrestling that I'm supposed to watch tonight?
Yeah. I think next week it's going to be where I miss it in its own weird way. Especially trying to fill that space,
I miss Thunder in its own weird way.
I didn't this week. Maybe I won't miss anything.
There was something about Thunder where it was on a Wednesday and the newsletter was done and it was kind of a day where I could just sit back a little bit and Thunder was on and sometimes it was just, it was so bad that it was funny and it was just, something to do on a Wednesday night and now it is no longer there.
Yeah. Well, we can talk more about, what is interesting is today is, the response that I'm getting, a lot more favorable. I want to say more favorable because all, the top matches were very well received last night. But as far as like best match and everything, a lot of sentiment away from tables, ladders, and chairs and towards Benoit and Kurt Angle. And I think it's one of those things where maybe people who think about it for an extra day, like when it was over, when that show was over, I thought that tables, ladders, and chairs was the best match on the show. But when you think about it, it was kind of like, the tables, ladders, and chairs was the same tables, ladders, and chairs spots, whereas the Benoit Angle was like, something really different. So maybe that's what it is, and maybe people, especially if you're like a real hardcore fan, it's like, that's a style of wrestling that, you might really like and you rarely get to see in this country.
I was actually surprised, too, by the amount of feedback we got for the main event as the best match on the show. I thought that was kind of, it wasn't like it was a bad match or anything like that, but you had the tables, ladders, and chairs, and Benoit and Angle, and everyone just going, man, the near falls in the main event and everything like that was just so great, and it was the best match on the show, and I thought, wow, well, they did it.
Well, the drama was really good. I thought it was a hell of a match. The one thing about, in comparing different matches and everything, it's like, Benoit and Angle would have had the hardest time because they had the most limitations. Basically, with the exception of the ref bump, which I think worked against them anyway, they had to do it with their 2 hands and their 2 feet and without a lot of props. The tables, ladders, and chairs was 100% props. And Austin and Rock, they had the outside interference and they had the whole storyline thing going for them, plus being in the main event. So, if you talk about the guys who had the best match with the with the least help, that would be Benoit and Angle. But I don't know that it was the best match because, that's one of the advantages of being in the main event, is that you're allowed to break the tables. And that Rock and Austin, their table broke early anyway, so they didn't get to do that spot.
What happened there? It was like Rock was just laying on it. It collapsed or something.
Yeah, that easily breakable table. Yeah, you broke like 2 minutes in. I was thinking that was supposed to come later in, the show with like a rock bottom or something like that through a table that we don't get to see. Oh, I don't know. Any other thoughts on the show that we didn't talk about last night? Because we pretty much covered it last night, I think.
Yeah, we pretty much covered everything. I still haven't watched the first 3 yet because you kind of, you warned me that I really didn't miss too much, so I just figured I'd wait till after Raw tonight and watch that. So, didn't see it yet, but I think we pretty much covered everything else.
Have you heard about what's on Raw tonight? Because I actually have not heard anything.
I didn't get anything, no lineup or nothing.
Okay, I haven't heard the lineup yet either. I don't even know where they're going for the next pay-per-view. A lot of people seem to think it's Austin Undertaker. I don't think that's where they're going, but they may be. I think it may be Austin and Rock again, but I guess tonight's show will probably at least set the stage of where they're going next. I got the impression that Angle and Benoit, everyone loved that match as far as WWF higher-ups, so I think they're going to be able to do a program. In fact, I know that they're talking about doing a 30-minute Iron Man match on the next pay-per-view. That's, maybe they'll even talk about it on the show tonight. I don't know.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Man, when they came out there, it was like, I guess 9 o'clock Eastern. It was 6 o'clock over here, and I thought, man, this thing's going till, it's going 4 hours. These guys are out here already. They're going to get like half hour, 45 minutes. I thought it was going to be one of those deals where, just for the hell of it, they go, these guys are going to have a great match. It's just give them a bunch of time. And It was only about 15 minutes, but it was a hell of a 15 minutes, and I thought, if they got like 45 minutes or something, or even a half hour, just, especially with the reaction that they got for doing the wrestling and everything like that, that'd be a hell of a match.
Yeah, probably. The one thing, Benoit matches usually are better under 20 minutes, though. And it's like certain guys have better matches that go long, and certain guys have better matches that go short, and then other guys are in the middle. And Benoit's always been really a guy in the middle. Angle, have we ever seen, what's the long, Angle's probably longest is probably about 25 minutes that we've seen. I think Angle and Triple H went 25 minutes a couple of months ago on pay-per-view. And that was a very good match, but it wasn't like, I don't remember it being off the charts or anything. It's tough to go over 20 if you're not in the main event. I guess Benoit,
The thing with that match last night to me was, it was like it ended too early. It was like there was so much more that they could have done in that match. And I think that if they did a match where they did more of the mat wrestling there at the beginning and stretched out the middle section and then did some more near falls at the end, they could go 30 minutes easy.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Those guys, they got great chemistry together. Let's see. There is a press release from Tokyo Pop, which of course is the American licensee for FMW, and they are announcing that they are reviewing the recently announced purchase of WCW by the WWF, citing possible violations of the Sherman Antitrust Act. Tokyo Pop fears that combining the nation's two largest wrestling leagues will impede competition and significantly reduce the number of options available to consumers. Well, it does significantly reduce the options available to consumers, but that's not so much by WWF as much as by the television networks. WWF eliminated one. Actually, by buying, they eliminated one that was going to go out of business anyway, because once the TV network thing, of course, I tell you, when I look back on this TV network thing, it's very interesting because the WWF entered into negotiations to buy WCW about 3.5 weeks before they bought it. Now, the announcement by Jamie Kellner of canceling the TV time came after the WWF had already gone into negotiations again, and it was well known the WWF could not buy it with that TV time. So there may be more to that TV cancellation than meets the eye, and there's a lot of things that were said to me that I wasn't thinking about at the time, but looking back, I'm starting to remember. And I can tell you that when the WWF went back to negotiate, I don't know if it was Brad Siegel, but it was whoever was negotiating with Stuart Snyder of the World Wrestling Federation, told them point blank, and this is before the cancellation of the TV times was made, that they would not be selling it to Fusion, even though Fusion didn't know they wouldn't be selling it until literally, Tuesday. It was Tuesday of last week when they finally couldn't get the TV time from Fox. Mm-hmm. So I think there's more to this than meets the eye.
Well, actually, if you look at the timeline, WWF started negotiating, 3.5 weeks before the purchase?
Yes.
And Kellner was in 2 weeks before the cancellation. So, it's right about the same time.
Right about the same time.
Maybe Kellner came in just a little bit later, which if that's the case, that's pretty weird. Why would they enter negotiations? Because that was the whole reason that deal fell through the first time. The TV.
So it may have been that WCW or that Time Warner did not want to sell it to Fusion because they thought that they weren't going to have the money to operate it and that it was going to be a big mess and they wanted no part of the mess. And they just wanted to sell it to WWF, figuring that there would be no mess with WWF. They would just sell it. And they were willing to give up the TV time to do so as a negotiating ploy of the WWF because it's the only way they could buy it.
But why would they be worried if Fusion bought it if the TV was... I guess the TV
because
was...
they were going to be owner. They were going to be part owners, and they would be partially responsible if Fusion couldn't pay the bills.
Yeah,
they were going to be 12% owners, remember?
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. Anyway,
maybe?
I was just thinking about that. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing there. Anyway, Tokyo Pop's issues go beyond a concern for the industry as a whole to concern about the welfare of the individual wrestlers who will be affected by the merger, as well as the impending demise of ECW. FMW's relationship goes back several years with such veterans as Mick Foley, Terry Funk, and others who fought in Japan and are featured in Tokyo Pop's DVD and VHS releases. I'm not sure what that has to do with anything. It's important to Tokyo Pop and FMW that the wrestlers be treated with the respect they deserve after their long years of service and not become victims of another mega merger downsizing. As a small company, FMW and Tokyo Pop have no illusions about taking Vince McMahon and his empire to court. David will never beat Goliath in a lawsuit. He beat him with a rock to the head, said somebody in there. Shigatsu Suitachi, the interim wrestling ambassador. Is it like Steve Regal? Oh, this is ridiculous. Now they start talking about a hardcore death match between the two leagues. Okay, see you later. That was pretty stupid there.
That'll solve the problems.
Yeah. A hardcore match, that's just wonderful. Let's see. Any other news to get to? There's literally there's no news in wrestling. I mean, except for the fact that we just had Mania and we were in the middle of the biggest news story. I think that none of the WCW guys.
As far as American wrestling, when there's not a WWF story, there will be no news.
I know. That's about it. That's about right. EMLL had their pay-per-view. Perro Aguayo ended up going out on a stretcher in his final match, which is not a way to end your career. So I've got a feeling that he's probably coming back. He got his head shaved against Universo dos Mil. What happened, it was the dreaded Martinete Tombstone Piledriver with a lot of distraction and everything like that. And Aguayo was knocked unconscious since they sell that move, huge over in Mexico.
Like it's
and
death.
It's next to death, that's right. So he's out, and then they shaved his head and took him out on a stretcher, and that was supposed to be contractually his last match in Mexico City. And, it's amazing because that was a great finish, and the reason I say that is because everybody was so sick of Perro Aguayo's retirement tour, although they did sell out on Friday night. And now it's like all those people who were sick of it, they really want him to come back for revenge because nobody wants this guy after 31 years in the ring for his last appearance, at the #1 arena in Mexico to be, stretchered out with his head shaved.
I don't mind.
What?
I don't mind.
Yeah, well, I could live without seeing him. He's really declined a lot in the last couple of years. Hopefully, from when I gathered, the pay-per-view there was pretty good. So, and All Japan taped their first television show also yesterday, and that'll air in a Friday night time slot on Nippon TV. So, not All Japan, Pro Wrestling Noah.
All Japan? Okay.
No, Pro Wrestling Noah. I was mistaken there. I've been watching some of their tapes, and they got a good company. I mean, when they get TV, some of those younger guys with exposure, Marufuji's really good. Morishima's got some promise. Takashi Sugiura is really good. I mean, for a guy who's probably been in about 3-4 months. I think he debuted December. So, yeah, 4 months in. He's going to be really good. He's, I don't want to say he's another Kurt Angle because that's unfair because we'll probably never see another one quite like that. But that is the one who they compare him to over there, because of the amateur background and small guy with great suplexes and already like a good worker. So it's tough. It's a tough market. They're in a big recession too. So we'll see. Let's see. What other stuff? Any other stuff to go through?
Who's training everybody over there?
I guess just the same. Misawa, Akiyama, all of them. I think they do a good job. They've turned out some great talent. But they teach them. They teach them that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Practice, and they teach them a lot of respect for the profession.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Start with Dave Galvin, who goes, I must admit there were only 2 things I didn't care for about WrestleMania last night. One was the ending of Benoit Angle. I thought that was all right. I can't help but feel Benoit should have gotten the win. And he will. Don't worry. 2 was the fact that there should have been more of a WCW presence to show. Actually, I think there should have been no WCW presence to show based on how they handled it. I thought
Especially
that was
the way they did it, yeah.
I thought that was a big mistake. Seeing the lame 10 or so wrestlers in the cheap seats did nothing to wet my mouth for the product. Yeah, I think it was totally counterproductive. The deal
They were kind of stuck, though, if they wanted to put anybody on the show, because it's like, if you put those guys in the front row, everybody's going to expect somebody to jump the rail. And, of course, you don't want them to do that. But, otherwise you put them up in the cheap seats, and it looks like they're just a bunch of geeks.
Yeah, but, they didn't even have, like saying who they were. You just saw these guys, and it's like, you sort of, there's Lance Storm, there's Sean Stasiak.
Yeah.
And there were...
the generic WCW wrestlers written underneath them.
Yeah, and they were, and there was no star power there.
Yeah.
Which to me is that's really going to be tough on this interpromotional thing because if they don't have the stars, you can build some of those guys against WWF and have dream matches, but not any of the guys that they signed. Out of the 24 guys they signed, there's none of them. Mike Awesome was bigger when he was in ECW. WCW took him down a notch. So, and there's no big money right now in Mike Awesome against, The Rock. I mean, and I don't know that there will be. I mean, he's all right, but anyway, let's see. I couldn't help but want to see Flair or Booker T come out and at least cut a 2-minute promo. Yeah, you know what though, that would be too soon. And Flair, who knows? One thing I want to mention, we talked about this a little bit on Friday, and that is, these guys that we talk about. I mean, there's a lot of rumors about what guys are going to be offered as it comes to a buyout, and what guys are going to be offered by WWF. And ultimately, the guys are going to make their decision based on those two offers. If they can make, more money, enough more money by going to WWF, if they make less money and have to go on the road, work, and take bumps, that's kind of a bad deal. And that may be how it turns out. But nobody knows because no one's been offered buyouts, and none of those guys have been offered, have really been talked with about WWF. WWF has not done a lot of work on this because they had to get ready for WrestleMania. And in the next 2 weeks, they're really going to start working on this WCW project. Aside from the 23 or 24 guys that they've signed, there's nothing else that's really official. I mean, they have not signed any writers. They have not even really discussed it. Referees. They need a front office. Production crew. I mean, I think they're going to use a lot of the WWF production crew an extra day on the Wednesdays. One
thing a lot of the upper card wrestlers or the high dollar guys need to think about is how much longer they have on their current WCW deal. Because if it's a guy like Goldberg that wants to do something in this business someday, and he's got like 3 years left, 3 years is a hell of a lot of time in wrestling. And if it's a guy maybe like, I don't even know how long Page has left, but say he has 10 months left, he can sit that 10 months out, and in 10 months people are still going to remember him. But I think it's all going to depend on how long it's going to be. 3 years is so long. Look at 3 years ago in wrestling. What was it, 97 or 98? It's like an eternity.
Yeah, but the longer you're out, the more your myth grows. I mean, look at like when a guy like Warrior or Sid Vicious or those guys are gone forever. When they come back, people forget just how horrible they really were.
Yeah, but there's a certain amount of time where there's such a turnover in the audience that it doesn't really mean anything.
But Goldberg's got a name, though. I think, and plus, you got to remember 3 years from now, there may be, I mean, you don't know what the state of the business will be. They may be begging for a guy to come in and draw some money. And the fact that he once did, you know how that goes, like that's how Sid keeps getting his jobs. Is that, some companies.
Sid's another one that'll be back.
I don't know about Sid being back. I don't think that Sid's going to go to the WWF ever. For one, he's old. He's coming back from a broken leg, and he did not leave there on very good terms. And, we talk about, certain guys, like the Leopards don't change their spots very often. Sometimes they do. Sometimes people do grow up. But Sid, what was it? Sid walked out on that, after the Starrcade pay-per-view, he walked out because he didn't like what he was doing on TV or something, right? Mm-hmm. Then he came back, they kissed his ass and put him in the main event on the next pay-per-view. And it's like, granted, that really speaks volumes for that company and why that company went out of business. But,
the fact that come and gone from WWF, though.
Yeah, but I think the last one was the last one. I mean, because you got to remember, this is a different WWF now. That WWF from before was very much like WCW, where they acquiesced to star power. I mean, Shawn Michaels is the perfect example. I mean, Shawn did all that stuff that he's doing now years ago, and they just kissed his ass. You know what I mean? And kept bringing him back because he was a star. Now, they don't even give him a second thought. It's like they don't need him. And I don't see them. Shawn's got a lot more of an upside and a lot more of a name than Sid Vicious. I just don't see. Again, if business gets really terrible, of course they'll get desperate and try to get him. But I really believe that I don't know what he could do in this business anymore. I mean, because the independents, are not a major factor. I'm sure he'll get a job when somebody wants to start something up, and lose a lot of money. That like signs like the Kevin Nashes and all these guys. If that ever happens, that Sid will be one of the first people they call. But as far as WWF. I don't see it in this, unless things drastically change in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. It goes, I can't help but believe Stone Cold turning heel is the best thing they could have done. While it was obvious the Texas crowd didn't want to believe or recognize the turn, I think JR and Paul did a great job on the announcing. One of the guys sitting next to me at the party I was at said, I can't believe that SOB sold out, proving to me it was a successful turn. We don't know. I mean, like, the Goldberg
I think we talked about it yesterday. The people at home are going to go for it a lot easier than the people in Texas, just because you had Ross and Heyman. Ross was working so hard last night to get that heel turn over. I mean, throughout the whole match, before everything even happened, it was like every time Austin would do something, Ross, he wouldn't really, bury him or anything like that, but he'd make comments like, I can't believe that Austin's doing this, that sort of thing. So I think it'll work. Not tonight.
You don't know, though. I mean, you don't know. I mean, I know that last night there was a lot of concern because of, it was like 4 years now. Well, it's been 4 years since WrestleMania 97, right? When the big turn was made. So for 4 years, he's the guy who built the company, from a very, relatively minorly successful, even unsuccessful financially company to what it is today. The last couple of years he's had help, but the big turnaround was largely on the back of Steve Austin. And a lot of people came into wrestling with Steve Austin as their, idol. And, there's, like with Bill Goldberg, with Ric Flair, sometimes these turns, even when the guy's good at it, you run that risk of, do I want to pay $40 to boo this guy who I like? You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like they're real good, and they're obviously better than WCW, but I mean, like, Ric Flair is a really good heel, but every time Ric Flair turned heel, it was a financial disaster for the company because people didn't want to pay money to boo Ric Flair. It was really all there was to it. It was the best WrestleMania I ever saw. WrestleMania's more... I'm trying to look back and think about this. More often than not, they're disappointments. Some of them have been really good, but this one was probably had the highest expectations going in as far as a whole card. I think the one. I mean, I know as a fan, the WrestleMania where Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels did the 60-minute match, the day before, a couple of days before, for that match, I had really high expectations. I thought it was going to be one of the greatest matches I would ever see, and I don't think it was. But it was an excellent match, but it was not quite that good. I didn't have that feeling for any of the matches on this show, but as a show overall, I mean, I expected, far better than that night in L.A. So, this is...
There's just always so much expectation going into every WrestleMania because they hype it up forever, and it's like everyone expects it to be the show of the year. And it's one of those things where even if every year it wasn't the show of the year, just because it's WrestleMania, people would expect it to be. And this year they delivered.
Yeah.
Top to bottom.
This is,
for the most part.
For the most part. I just got back from Houston. I traveled from Boston. Few thoughts personally. It was the greatest wrestling fans weekend. The fan festival was awesome. I got to ride 2 roller coasters with Mick Foley at Six Flags. On to WrestleMania. It was by far the greatest WF pay-per-view ever. The crowd was so intense the entire show. It was just unbelievable. It was by far the biggest wrestling crowd I've ever been to. The deal with Austin was not working at all live. People were popping huge for Austin. Even after the show was over, when The Rock walked off by himself, he got booed out of the building. This is another person who saw it differently. He goes, I just want to give you a live perspective. Booker T was there, Hugh Morris, Mark Jindrak, Sean O'Hare. There were some Austin chants near me, but the crowd was 50-50. Nah, no way that crowd was 50-50. I heard
Wait a second, Booker T was there?
That's what it says.
Why wouldn't they put Booker T on TV of all people?
I didn't see Booker T, but I was expecting that he was going to be there, and they never showed him on TV. Let's see. That's pretty much all it says, but that crowd was not 50-50. I mean, at least when the show was on. Is there any chance of getting Scott Hudson on your show? Yes, there's a chance. Good chance even. I thought WrestleMania was great. It probably would have been the best pay-per-view I ever saw, if not for a very subpar match from Jericho and Regal. It's not that it was bad, but they could have done so much more than they did. They tried to work psychology into it, and it was too short, so it seemed worthless. Otherwise, 4 3-star matches, Benoit Angle, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, Helmsley, Undertaker, and Austin Rock made for an incredible show. One thing I want to mention, I thought you might know, but I'm very disappointed by a faster the security forces sign policy. During the Hunter Hearst Helmsley Undertaker match, I saw 3 different signs that said so-and-so is gay. 2 of them were Triple H, and 1 was, I don't know who else. Now, I'm not going to get an ethical debate about homosexuality, and being one myself, I'm sure I picked up on it when others might not have, but it seemed to me having such derogatory signs in plain view of the camera for 30 seconds combined would be something they would try to avoid. I'm sure a lot of the homophobia it portrayed is prevalent among a lot of WF fans, but still, why allow them to tick off many viewers who did notice and were offended? It seems like an unnecessary risk to me. Okay. It's just, I don't know, signs like that are a part of the wrestling mentality. It's not one of the good parts of the wrestling mentality. They are not all
Did he say they were confiscated?
No, he said they were not.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. This is Ways to Make Austin be heel. It's from Jamal Alam. Sure, it'll ruin his marriage, but have Deborah cheat with someone else. Marriages are meant to be broken up in pro wrestling anyway. Have Austin injure Foley on Raw. A lot of people have suggested that one, by the way. Have Austin attack Foley because the fans love Foley. I'm expecting Tuesday night at SmackDown that Austin beats up JR, in Oklahoma City. I don't. No one's told me that. I just see that one coming. Have him dress up.
The problem with Austin is through his whole babyface career, he always stuns the good guys and he always gets the big pop. So, he stuns Foley right now. Great. He's been stunning people forever.
Yeah, and he stunned Foley as a babyface many times.
Yeah. And
he stunned Ross as a babyface, many times. Or not many times, but he did it. Let's see. Have him dress up in a suit and drink champagne with William Regal. That would be funny. Have him grow his hair back and become stunning Steve Austin. I don't think he can do that anymore. Call Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff and ask them for how to get Goldberg over as a heel notebook. No. What do you think about Shane doing RVD's move? Slap in the face by Shane, Vince, or Paul E? Some of them. Where was Chris Jericho born, in New York or Canada? Wasn't he born in New York, Chris Jericho? His father played for the
wrong guy.
I think he was born in New York, but I'm not sure. Who trained Kevin Nash? Was he trained at Power Plant?
I don't think so. Maybe, actually.
I mean, he was trained
I don't think so.
He was trained in Atlanta, though. I mean, he was a bouncer at the strip club, and, all those guys saw him, the giant bouncer, and they talked him into doing pro wrestling. I mean, he was trained in Atlanta. I don't know. I should know that, too. Let's see. What was your view on the gimmick?
Nobody wants to take credit.
WCW on Saturday night is a good slot for me because I used to watch WCW Worldwide for the comedy of Hudson and Tenay and ECW Hardcore, so now I can watch WCW instead. It says, why didn't Booker T show up at Mania? Maybe he did. Hey, was Booker T there? We got one letter saying that he was. Can you talk about Iron Sheik's condition? You talk about him not being able to take bumps. What are the exact reasons besides that he's really old? I think his knees are shot. I think his body is shot. Why the huge gut? I just think he's just shot.
He eats a lot.
The thing with him, though, is he had the huge gut even when he trained. I think it's just some weird genetic thing.
Uh-huh.
Although, when Iron Sheik started pro wrestling, and he was, old already. I mean, he didn't start at a young age, because he's 63 now. And he would have started, let me see. He would have started around 72, because he started around the same time as Flair, so that's 29 years ago, which means he would have been 34 when he started, which is not young to start, which is actually quite amazing that he started at 34 and had such a good career. But he had a totally flat stomach. He had, the best abs in the business practically at that time. And he was, about a 190-pound guy. And then he just got, he was pregnant. And, last night, I was ready for him to give birth. Let's see. Did you notice the huge negative reaction to Shane when he mentioned the WCW guys? Everyone did. This doesn't bode well for the new show, does it? A lot of things do not, no. It's too bad Vince doesn't want to upset his salary structure and bring in the guys that would get WCW over. At this rate, the biggest star is going to be the owner. Yeah, you know what? The biggest star is going to be the owner. Let's see. I was saddened to hear the reaction some of the participants in the Gimmick Battle Royal got from the crowd. Some of these superstars were big superstars in their time, yet most of the new fans have no idea who they were. How would they?
Why is that sad, though?
Because they never talk about history. Why would it be sad? Some of the wrestlers were involved as little as 8 years ago. A lot of the fans, let's face it, the WWF was doing, 2 ratings in 1997, 96, 97, which is 4 years ago. And now they're doing, 5s, and at one time they were doing, high 6s and occasional 7. So the vast majority of fans were not fans 4 years ago, let alone 8 years ago. I wish that the new fans would pay attention to the past and legends like they do in other sports. I agree.
Yeah, but how did they do that, though? There's no, unless you go back and find a bunch of really old videos that, I don't even know if you can get them at the video store. You're not going to get it from the WWF. You're not going to go to the bookstore and find, a WWF book on the history of the Federation or anything like that.
Well, the other thing, too, is in WWF commentary, except last night they did mention some old names as it fit into the storyline, but when you listen to a baseball game, they'll talk about your stars of other generations, freely. So if you live in San Francisco, all of the stars in the history of the Giants in San Francisco, going back to the 50s, are talked about during the season if you listen to the game or watch the games on television. They pay homage to their, that's one of the things baseball has going for it. And football, they have all the films and everything like that. Basketball, they do that. Wrestling, has killed its history. because the guy who owns it wants to rewrite it to his own needs, and so whatever.
Just an example. We were talking about Dory Funk Jr. last night. How's any fan that just started watching in '97 supposed to know who Dory Funk Jr. is? How are they supposed to get footage of him? It's not going to be in a WWF magazine or anything like that, or they're not going to show footage on Superstars or anything. There's nothing they can do.
Or Jack Briscoe when they were comparing him to Kurt Angle. Who's going to know Jack Briscoe today?
If he showed up, everyone would just go, who's that guy?
Is it for certain SummerSlam will be in San Jose? Yes. Will you be attending if this is the case? That is a good question. If we're doing a show right afterwards, like we did last night, I probably won't be attending. But if we don't, then I'm sure I will. Let's see. There's an article on WWF.com about the gimmick battle royal. It says the reason that One Man Gang was not Akeem was because he could not fit into the Akeem costume because of all of the weight he's lost. I didn't know that.
Oh, he actually was pretty trim. Some of those guys, even like John Tenta, looked really trim.
Tenta's lost a lot of weight.
Trim for Tenta.
Yeah. I'm not surprised but saddened that
Goon looked like a fan.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Would you rate any match from WrestleMania 17 better than either Owen Brett or Heartbreak Kid Razor Ramon from WrestleMania 10? No, I don't think I would. I would rate both of those matches better than anything on the last night's show. Would you?
No.
Okay. It's from Ryan. Do you know if Portland Wrestling is ever going to be putting on any more shows, and are you going to work there?
I don't think they're doing any shows in the near future, and actually I haven't even heard anything from Portland Wrestling, so probably not.
Let's see, where was Pete Rose? I guess they just didn't sign him. I guess they just figured that they had other things to do, that the tradition has gone long enough, and there's just nothing new to do. Let's see. Everybody seems to be saying WrestleMania was one of the best pay-per-views ever, and it was awesome. But what I don't think is why nobody ever talks about ECW Heatwave '98. From top to bottom, was one of the greatest pay-per-views ever. That was a hell of a show. That was. Do you know what role Michaels was supposed to have at Mania? Do you know, Brian? I don't know. I
have no idea.
Let's see. Isn't it ironic that they ignore Bret Hart in the WWF? I mean, last night's main event had Bret Hart written all over it. Oh, God, I know. All those false finishes from the Bret Hart-Steve Austin matches. And then
I know. From that, they did the Survivor Series finish. Pushing up the turnbuckles in the $1 Million Dream.
Yeah.
And the WrestleMania deal with him and the sharpshooter.
Yep. Well, I mean, that's like the big, vivid image they were playing off of, yeah. And they never mentioned his name.
It's kind of strange if you're trying to turn Austin heel, do that spot again.
Yeah. Al, who's the first caller? Because I cannot read that. Oh, Ray. Okay, Ray from New York is up first. Hey, Ray, what's going on?
Hi.
Hey, Ray.
This is Razor up in New York. Just wanted to ask you a few things. First off, what the hell happened to the Gooker's outfit?
In what sense? I guess I wasn't paying close enough attention.
Maybe he lost too much weight to fit in, too.
The Gooker had no feathers left, man.
They probably built the outfit about 10 years ago, and maybe those feathers just kind of fell off.
Yeah, well, he had the thing won. If it weren't for the Iron Sheik being too out of shape to go over the top rope, I think the Gooker should have had that one.
To think they actually kept that Gooker costume for 10 years.
Really?
I'm shocked. I mean, I'm shocked. You would think that, like, if it, I think probably
he
was Hector
Vince himself would have burned it that night.
I know. Everyone forgets that gimmick was like, I mean, I guess maybe they don't forget, but that gimmick was like the flop of all flops.
Oh, I know.
I mean, that was like the WWF equivalent to Oz.
Well, yeah, okay. I don't remember Oz because I've always been pretty anti-WCW, but
that was Kevin Nash's one of his first gimmicks.
Oh, no.
He came out as the Great and Powerful Oz, and everybody booed like crazy, and then it was time for a new gimmick, and I think he was.
Yeah, no, I've seen Oz. It's just that's one of the reasons why I never watched WCW was because of that. I remember it, in other words. So, but well, aside of the Gooker being robbed out of his Rumble win or Battle Royal win or whatever they're calling it, my only other question was this: is why do you think that Vince McMahon, and maybe you answered this, I just tuned in about 15 minutes ago, but why do you think the booking committee or whoever chose to try to turn Austin heel as opposed to The Rock? Because I could see The Rock getting over as a heel a lot easier.
I think they just thought it was time after 4 years. It's kind of that mentality in wrestling that you 4 years is so long that you have to make a turn.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it was the right one or not, I think that the feeling was, for most of last year, that Rock was so popular that the thing to do is to turn Austin. And then it really was only in the last few weeks where it looked like maybe that was the wrong decision, but the battle, the plan had already been laid out by then, so they just decided that, we're going to go with our plan, and we're just going to do it our way.
But don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm usually one of the guys who likes to watch the heels beat up on the faces. So seeing Austin as a heel was definitely refreshing last night. I thought it was great. But I just kind of thought that since The Rock got booed so much earlier on, it'd be easier to do it with him. But you're right. I guess it was time for the change,
I think Rock's whole character is going to make it easier for him to get over as a heel than Austin.
Right.
Yeah, well, they started to change that. I mean, you noticed, like, on that SmackDown show, I think it was, or the Raw, I forget which one, but, I mean, with that guy, I mean, I saw those subtle changes in the last week in The Rock's character. I mean, they knew why people were booing him outside of Texas, and they worked to change it. In the last week on the TV, they were getting 50-50 reactions, as opposed to the week before where, there were the Die Rocky Die signs that they had to confiscate at the buildings.
Hey, did you get that whole package WWE sent out with, like, the DVD and everything like that?
Did I?
With, like, biographies of everybody?
Yes, I did.
The biography of The Rock, I was just glancing over it, and they actually acknowledged the Die Rocky Die chants. I thought that was so strange in a press release about this guy's, his career. It's like they're talking about his debut, and fans didn't, they didn't go for him, and they chanted Die Rocky Die, so he had to tweak the character a little bit.
You know what was funny about that, though? That's another sort of rewriting of history, in that the fans initially, I mean, I remember his first match, they chanted his name at the Garden. And, I mean, they went for him. What killed him...
He was just being pushed down their throat.
What killed him was when he won the Intercontinental title from Hunter, because people thought he wasn't ready, and then it was that Eric Watts thing, where it was like, okay, they're shoving this guy down our throat, he's clearly not ready, and that's why the people turned on him. I mean, if they had not over-pushed him, I don't know that the people would have turned on him, and actually he probably wouldn't have gotten as far as he did. One thing that was really funny, and it also goes to show about, I don't know, about was it the Slammies or whatever, or the credibility of the Slammies. The first year that Rock and Austin started in the WWF the same year, and they had like a poll in the Slammies for the best newcomer, and Austin, was over. I mean, he didn't get over the first 6 months, but after that he was over like crazy, and The Rock won the poll, and I saw that, and Rock was, this was before the fans had turned completely on Rock, but they were starting to a little bit. But, I mean, clearly, he was at one level, and Austin was about 7 levels ahead, and I'm just thinking, like, yeah, the fans voted for Rock over Austin for, the best newcomer this year, sure.
Before I got the phone, there was one other thing that was on my mind. I'm not sure if you'd have any information on this, but do you think Shawn Michaels is pretty much done now? I mean, he screwed up his chance, it sounds like. I wasn't there.
It sounds like that he's done, yeah. I mean, like for a while anyway. I mean, he'll probably, just because he'll probably get another shot at some point, but it's probably going to be a long way down the road. And
I mean, just look at it this way. He cut that promo on Bite This, and they took him off TV for almost a year.
Yeah.
And this was not cutting a promo. This was other problems. So.
Well, the thing is I don't get SmackDown anymore because the idiots at UPN let Warner Brothers buy him out, so I just get to watch Raw. I don't know what goes on at SmackDown or anything anymore. So I just heard he kind of stormed out of the tapings or something, but I wasn't sure if he stormed out or if he showed up stoned or something. I don't know what's going on. I didn't know if you guys...
Well, he never appeared on TV, so when he got to the building, they sent him home.
Okay. Well, hey, thanks a lot for your time, and I'll talk to you later.
This is from Steve, who says, to say this WrestleMania was by far better than any other Mania is absurd. This year's Mania had 5 gimmick matches, tables, ladders, and chairs, Battle Royal, the main event was no DQ with tons of interference, and the hardcore match. It's really sad you can't put over a main event with just the top stars putting on a wrestling match. They could have actually, but they didn't. But they could have. WrestleMania 3, 5, 6, and 10 were far better. Okay, 3, the main event of WrestleMania 3 was one of the worst matches in the history of wrestling. It had one great match, Savage and Steamboat, awesome match, and it was a good show, but it was not anywhere close to the caliber of this show. WrestleMania 5 was a terrible show. 6 was Toronto Skydome, right?
Yeah,
that was a good show.
Hogan
and Warrior. That was a good show. It wasn't anything close to this show. And 10 had 2 phenomenal matches, better than anything on this show, but this show had a much better undercard. Let's see, had more good matches too. Let's see, this is from Larry, who goes, I just tuned in. I was hoping to see Shawn Michaels. When are we going to see him? Probably
Don't hold your breath.
Not for a long time. Sean blew his chance. Let's see. The reason that they didn't name any WCW wrestlers and that none of the major stars, whether it was the WWF, was afraid they might get some heat, which would detract from the show.
They can name them on commentary.
Yeah, if they were way up there, it wasn't gonna. They did. It is true they did not want people like chanting for any wrestler or anything like that. They really. There were a lot of people who did not want any WCW guys on the show, and then others felt that they had to be there because the fans were expecting it. So that was the compromise they worked out, which, quite frankly, was, I think...
What a compromise, though. If you're expecting WCW guys on the show, I'm sure what you're expecting is, Booker T coming to the ring with Shane McMahon. Not these guys just appearing on TV in the cheap seats, unidentified. Yeah, added nothing to the show, and took away from those guys.
Yeah, and took away from the whole interpromotional feud, because now it seems just so low rent.
Yeah.
What do you think about Jeff Bagwell saying these guys are great actors at WrestleMania? I would consider that a compliment. Let's see. How old is the Iron Sheik? He is 63. Did he win a gold medal in the Olympics? No, he was never in the Olympics. That's one of wrestling's great legends. This is from Gene Okerlund. I think still thinks he was in the Olympics. Remember he brought that up? Or maybe Gene was just being facetious. I think Gene may have just been. Yeah. Is the payout the wrestlers receive at WrestleMania a flat amount up front or a percentage of the gate and pay-per-view buys? I'm guessing, not knowing for sure, that the guys in the Battle Royal probably just got like a flat fee, But most of the wrestlers will get a percentage of the gate and the pay-per-view buys, except for the guys in that Heat match, which will only get a percentage of the live gate, not a percentage of the pay-per-view. It's from Dan, who goes, I thought the main event was awesome. Me and my friends have not popped from near falls like that in a long time. I was jumping out of my seats for each one. I love the heel turn. It's a shot in the arm the WF needs. Austin's been a face for 4 years. It's time for a change. I think that the turn has already been moderately successful, that people were talking about wrestling at my school for the first time in months. Imagine the wonderment of WCW wrestlers looking over a crowd of 65,000 people, the total sum amount of their house shows for the past year. It's true. Let's see. WCW did let's say they did about 100 house shows and averaged 3,000 people. So they did about 300,000 people for the year. But that's actually, the thing is, it was not that many years ago, 3 to be exact, that WCW put 40,000 in the Georgia Dome, which isn't 65, but it's a hell of a lot of people. Not all that long
ago. For Nitro. That wasn't
Nitro,
for
not
WrestleMania.
even not for WrestleMania, exactly.
And look at how many times Raw's gone to the Georgia. I guess Raw isn't based in Georgia, but look at how many times they've gone to the Georgia Dome, and
but that doesn't matter.
Not even come close to that.
Yeah, they usually do 22 to about 26,000. That's right. I don't think I think the first time they went, did they do 30 the first time? I think they did like about 20, maybe it was a little under 30.
Yeah, it was close.
So Ross kept saying 30,000, and maybe the real number was like 26 or 27. So yeah, they never did 40, which WCW did a little over 40 for the first one, and then the one finger touch one was like about 35 to 38. So they did a big one there, and then of course that one finger touch.
It's all downhill from there.
Yeah, that was a dumb move, and boy, I remember that night going, you're going to come back here and you're not going to be able to sell tickets, and that's kind of what happened. Let's see. Someone goes, I thought WrestleMania was great, but the stupid ending of the main event and the waste of time of the women's title match. Last night when Saturn came out with Eddie Guerrero, it looked so much like Hulk Hogan, it was scary. I don't think it looked like Hulk Hogan.
I thought it was Bagwell when I saw the top hat.
Yeah, I know. Bagwell I know. What will be the main event at Backlash? I don't know. We'll probably find out tonight. At this point, what will you do with Jericho? Turn him heel? Why hasn't WWF had any more pay-per-views in England? Because they do pay-per-view. They do British-only pay-per-views anyway. Not to say that they won't at some time. They may. Were they teasing the beginning of an Undertaker retirement last night? I don't think so. Let's see.
He won.
Yeah. Let's go to the calls. We'll start with Matt in New Orleans. Matt, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going, Dave? Brian?
Hey.
It's going really good.
You just brought up China, and I just want to say that I think her ego is going to be absolutely out of control in the WWF. And I think last night the way she treated Ivory was so disrespectful that made me sick.
It wasn't even Ivory. It was Ivory and everything that they set up for her for this match.
The neck injury,
the big comeback.
It's like I'm not selling. She didn't sell in the match, and she didn't sell her injury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that just so when I was listening to your show last night and you commented on that, I don't know, it just made me sick to watch. I'm an independent worker down here, just like Brian is up there. So, I'm real conscious about how when you go over on somebody, you do it in a respectful way, not to kill them. And just the way she laid across her, that really that pissed me off more than anything on the show. I thought the show overall was really great, though. It just lacks the one really standout match that puts it like WrestleMania 10 had the two standout matches that were that made it stand out in everyone's mind.
I thought there were three standout matches. I mean, there wasn't a match, like a Bret Hart Owen Hart match or that ladder match, but
I meant like a match of the year candidate.
I thought that the TLC was pretty close, and I thought that Austin Rock was pretty darn good too. I mean, but you're right. I mean, as far as like the match of the year, I don't think we saw it last night. I think the Benoit Jericho ladder match was probably better than anything on the show last night.
Agreed. Benoit Jericho, that was here in New Orleans, and I watched it on TV, but coming into work the next day, I had several people there, and really they talked about that more than anything else. So that match was over huge live, I guess. I thought that was the best match of the year in the WWF so far, in my opinion.
Maybe.
But I'm not going to take
that in I think Austin and Hunter at the last pay-per-view was awfully good too.
Agreed. What do you think as far as the Austin heel turn? I got to say, the only way they're going to turn him fully heel in Texas, if he comes out and just acts, he can't be Stone Cold. He's got to do something like come out in a shirt and tie. If he blows off Texas and says he's moving to Connecticut, really he just if he comes out drinking a soda,
he'll get heat. All he has to do is insult Texas and he'll get heat.
Yeah. I don't think they need to worry about Texas so much as just the rest of the country. I mean, if it becomes a deal where he's a big heel all over the country and then he gets cheered in Texas, it's not going to matter for those 2 days they're there.
Well, I think I'm just saying that if he tries to keep turning heel tonight, and the fans live don't buy it, I don't think they're going to buy it in a lot of the other places, like when they do SmackDown on Tuesday.
No, they're in Oklahoma on Tuesday.
Where's SmackDown? Oklahoma, right?
Oklahoma City, yeah.
Yeah.
But thanks for taking my call, guys, and been reading the Observer since '96, Dave, and you do a great job.
Thank you very much.
And I couldn't have caught my letters too, so I'll keep reading. Thanks a lot.
Okay, let's go to Dan in Chicago. Dan, what's going on?
Hey guys, what's going on? Saw WrestleMania last night. I like the Austin heel turn. I know a way to get Austin over that would make him a good heel. He could shave the people's eyebrow.
That's right. Someone's gonna do that.
That angle has not been done yet, and the day will come.
Do that.
And I gotta correct you guys.
The two angles on Rock is shave the eyebrow and do something to his throat where he can't talk for 2 months. No, really, that's awesome.
But you know what though? The thing with The Rock is just standing there with a mic in his hand.
Yeah.
He'll get just a tremendous ovation.
Yeah. Well, I just thought that'd be kind of funny though. But I got to correct you guys on the Bret Hart stuff. They did talk. Jim Ross did talk about Bret Hart when The Rock had the sharpshooter on Austin. He's like, this just shades of WrestleMania 13 with Bret Hart.
He did say
really?
that. That's
yeah,
right.
He did because I had said it to my friend, and then as soon as I said it, JR said it.
And I figured like a lightning bolt would strike him dead too.
So I just thought I'd let you guys know that. You should go back and take a look at that.
He did say it. That's true.
Maybe Vince just went insane on the headset.
Yeah, I don't know, but I expected Goldberg there. I know you guys think I'm crazy on that one, but I kind of think
you got to listen to the show.
Yeah, but you think you don't think he's going to come on out WWF
soon?
Soon, yeah.
I mean, if they want him, he will. If they don't want him bad enough, he won't. It's in their the ball's in their court, not his. He's going to do the right thing for him.
Yeah, the thing is,
and it's up to them. If they want him bad enough, they'll do the right thing to get him. And if they don't want him bad enough, then he won't be there.
Can I make a point about
sure.
the WCW guys there at WrestleMania? I think it was a good idea for them there, but it was kind of funny that the camera guy didn't know where they were at. Did you kind of notice that?
Oh, it was like watching WCW.
Yeah.
It was so hokey. It was like they had the WCW camera crew there filming that spot.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't get a guy up there ready to go for when Shane McMahon introduced him, just be right there for a close-up shot. Instead, it's like panning around the crowd. Where the hell are the guys at? It's horrible.
And I actually got an idea for Stacy Keibler. She could go after Trish and be a part of Vince, and because Vince is going to probably be looking for a new woman.
Not at this point, I don't think, because they're trying to keep them separate for a long, long time before they do any interpromotional stuff.
And, excuse me if this question's been asked, but any news on Hulk Hogan yet, or is that done?
I think he's really gonna be scrambling. I heard he called up Inoki or something? Wants to wrestle Inoki?
Yeah, I read something about that, yeah.
Yeah, he's desperate to get his name out there. Hogan, from what I gather, there's nothing going on with Hulk Hogan right now. So, I don't know what's going to happen to him.
If they're going to bring back Bobby Heenan and Gene Okerlund and they don't bring Hogan back, isn't that...
I don't think they're bringing back Heenan and Okerlund.
They're not bringing Heenan and Okerlund. I sensed last night was pretty much a lock that they're not going to bring him back from the way they treated him. I mean, that was just like, they portrayed them as, part of that generation with Blassie and, kind of like the old guys. It's nice to see him once, now we're never going to see him again type thing.
Okay, what do you think of Sting? You think the Stinger will come back?
I highly doubt it.
You don't think so? Because the way he acted on Nitro, that he said nothing's for sure. Don't count me out.
Yeah, it's because nothing's for sure.
That's because nothing is for sure. But still, this guy, he's doing acting. He's making tons of money to not wrestle. And his whole career, or I can't say his whole career, but the last several years of his career has been built on not working. So he's not going to want to come back and take a pay cut and go on the road 200 days a year or whatever. It's just, why do it?
Yeah. Okay, and then my last point, then I'll let you guys go. Then what's the point of this whole WCW thing? They're not going to have nobody.
We're wondering that same thing.
That's what we're all wondering how this is all going to turn out. It's not turning out. It looks like it's not turning out so great just yet.
No, I mean they're recruiting WWF guys that look like on SmackDown on Tuesdays. So I mean, if they're going to do that, then
boy, if they end up with like Billy Gunn over there, then we know it's.
If Billy Gunn versus Sean Stasiak is on the first show, it's dead.
Then it's the first week, and then that's it. Then basically, huh?
That'll be it.
All right, guys. Thanks for your time.
Okay, you're very welcome. They got a lot of strikes going against them between the bad time slot and no marquee wrestlers. I'll tell you the one thing probably that I will miss the most about Nitro and Thunder is your reviews of Nitro and Thunder. That's the truth. A lot more than the shows. Brian.
It is sad.
It really is. Because the reviews, I'd say this, the reviews of Raw and SmackDown are nowhere near as entertaining.
That's because there's nowhere near as entertaining. Things just don't happen on those shows. That's why I miss Thunder so much.
Not with that level.
I used to have so much fun writing those Thunder reviews, and now the show's gone.
I used to do that. People used to tell me that the best part of the Observer was the reviews of Nitro. This was like 2 years ago. And then all of a sudden, I just woke up one day and I go, they're going out of business, and I just can't be as funny anymore. Because, all that whole time when they were on their way down, I was thinking, this company's going to be around forever. Turner's never going to sell it, so I'll just have fun with this horrible product. I mean, it was so horrible. And then when I realized that, all these people are going to be losing jobs, it was just like, it's just all I could do was be sad writing my Nitro reviews after that point. This is from Brendan, who goes, the crowd chanting, holy shit, after Triple H was chokeslammed on that porta pit mat. What's up with that? They were right there. They could see them. That was weird.
Yeah, but you know what? A lot of the people, there's 6,000 people in the arena. 55,000 couldn't see where he landed. I mean, when he first went off that thing, he just, disappeared. I thought, man, I wonder what he landed on. And they didn't show the replay for a while. Then they showed just a shot of him lying there. And whatever he was lying on, it looked like it was, the cement with carpet over it. I thought, oh my God, I can't believe this guy took that bump. And of course, they had to absolutely kill it by showing a replay of him landing on the big trampoline. And actually, it was a porta pit. That's what they call in gymnastics, a porta pit.
Yeah. His funniest moment was when Tess was tangled in the ropes. I thought it was kind of sad because they had to break character, Guerrero and Saturn, to get him out. I mean, it wasn't so much he was caught, but that poor referee was like having a heart attack because he knew he couldn't open the ropes. And it's like, oh my God.
Eddie. First, Eddie's punching him, and then Eddie goes, well, I'll just go help him out.
Yeah. I was just so funny because he's just going there like, they can't help me because that'd break character. And we're here at WrestleMania, and I'm going to be remembered as the guy who couldn't get Tess' leg out. It seems that the Big Show and Kane look the same size. Not the same weight. But, Kane's got those big lifts in his boots. That's why. Big Show actually is several inches taller than Kane.
How old is Kane now? Like 33?
In that range, I would guess, yeah. Maybe 30, 31, 32,
Ross was just talking last night about the bright young star Kane, and he may be the future of the WWF. And I was thinking, this guy has been around forever. I didn't realize he wasn't that old when he got the gimmick.
Yeah, I hope he's not the future of the WWF.
I hope not.
Let's see. How long has Brian been wrestling, and what style does he employ? Where can I get a tape of him in action?
Tapes are up on the website, and I think my first match was August 98.
No, I was watching your tape, and they said that you're like a 8 or 10 year veteran.
That's wrestling for you. I thought that same thing, actually, when I was standing in the ring and Ken Hamlin goes, here's Chico's an 8-year veteran of the sport. And I was looking around going, where's the other Chico here? Who's he talking about? 8 years. The best one was, we did the show this weekend, and I don't know what the hell happened, but the guy, we had like a professional DJ doing the ring introductions. And he introduces me as Chris Alver. And I didn't even know if I was supposed to come to the ring because I didn't know who Chris Alver was. And my music was playing, and I just went, oh, well, what the hell? Who cares?
Well, I got Michael
That
Butler
is indie
here,
wrestling for you.
Yeah.
The best was the day I was announced at 290.
That's funny. Oh, let's see. 10 ways to get WCW over. Have WCW wrestlers shoot Gilbert on the debut show. Play old tapes of Nitro on TNN. Crucify Eric Bischoff. Huckster versus Nacho Man. Have Sean Stasiak tape WWF pay-per-views illegally and play them on the show. I like that. That's cute. Have a first 500 fans who come to the arena dressed like a security guard get knocked out by Buff Bagwell contest. That's kind of cute. The winner of the Tough Enough contest becomes a WCW superstar. Actually, that one is too likely to happen. Have Shane Helms give David Arquette the vertebreaker until David Arquette has to take the move wrong. Use that angle to get David Arquette over as the top face, and bring in Vince Russo to be the top face.
Yeah, I can't blame David Arquette for any of that stuff. David Arquette came to the arena and said, I will not do this match unless I leave as champion.
Yeah. David Arquette's a nice guy. It was just their stupidity. And he was embarrassed, too, to take it, because he knew he didn't deserve it, but whatever. Let's see. Just got in from Houston. WrestleMania was awesome. It was not 50-50. Everybody was chanting for Austin. I went to the Access Saturday night, and it sucked. There were so many people in there, you couldn't move. I talked to Gilbert, who was walking around. He told me he was supposed to be in the Battle Royal, but they took him out because they were afraid people would chant for Goldberg. Well, there's your answer. That's the story. And that was a smart move on their part. Probably they listened to our show. Maybe not. Probably, actually. And I think they made the right move. Let's go to Zach in Houston. Zach, what's going on?
Guys, that was the worst Motorhead show I've ever seen. They did one song, and the rest of the night was sweaty men groping each other.
Sounds like every Motorhead concert.
Good one. But in all seriousness, I had a lot of fun.
Hey, have you ever listened to Motorhead before?
No, I haven't. That was just a joke.
I was just wondering if that guy knew the words to the song that he was singing. Everyone in the room with me was like, this guy doesn't even know the words.
Yeah. But anyway, last night was a good show. The WCW guys actually had worse seats than me. I would like to say that the Austin heel turn wasn't lost on everyone in the crowd, because there were some kids, like 8 and 9 years old, sitting by where we were in the second deck, and I thought they were going to start crying. Maybe we shouldn't have rubbed it in so much.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding, but I do have a couple of things. I'll get to them quickly. First of all, has the WWF ever really given y'all an explanation as to why they won't let talent do your show, but they'll let them do the Law, which you're involved with?
Because they don't like me.
Ah. Is that really why?
No, not at all.
Oh, I didn't know.
No. I know. It's because the law is also broadcast on radio, and if we were broadcast on radio, I think that they would probably still not let their talent come on the show, but they would have as good a reason.
Yeah. Also, is Noah going to be showing clips of matches, or are they going to go the All Japan route where they show like one long match every week?
I think that the first week with a 1 hour show, I'm betting they show the whole Akiyama Omori 23-minute match. Now, as far as for the 30-minute weekly show, I'm guessing they probably will do about 3 matches, which means they'll probably show like 8 minutes of 3 different matches, as opposed to maybe like if it's like a big match, they'll show the whole match.
Right.
But I'm guessing more clips.
Also, another quick thing. After last night, I think they need to pack Chyna up and send her away. And I know it's not going to happen.
After last night?
Well, I've thought that for a long time, but last night was like, the one glaring incident where you'd have to be blind not to see that she just doesn't belong.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
she's not a team player.
Yeah.
That pinfall really did anger me.
Yeah. Me
I mean,
too.
the powerbomb, I still would have hated the match, and I would have thought it was horrible, but when she lifted her up, the first thing I thought was, oh my god, Ivory's going over. And then she gives her the Ultimate Warrior press slam. I thought she was going to do the running splash off the ropes. Instead, she just lays on her. And oh my god. I was so mad.
The other thing also is like she's going over in a squash way, and she still won't even give her any, offense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
she got hit with a belt. That was it. And she barely even sold that.
Yeah.
What's she gonna have to do? Shoot on her like Rick Steiner, or not shoot, but beat her?
I think that she's not going to sell for anyone who doesn't have size.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't, because because Animal and those guys all sold for her, so she figures that she's like the Ken Shamrock of the women.
Yeah.
Except it's real.
That it just bugged the heck out of me that they took two of the least attractive and least talented women they have and put them on the show. And then
that was the story. That was the storyline for China when they took her off for the we should be thankful they took her off the TV for a long time to build this match.
True.
That's true.
Oops, sorry.
But she was doing the book signing though. If she hadn't been doing that book signing, we would have had to see her every week doing rehab.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But
we wouldn't, because she would have quit selling the rehab after the second segment.
She would start doing just exercises to plug her video. You ever seen a commercial for that exercise video she does?
No, I never have.
Oh.
I've seen the what's it called, the print ads for it, but I've never seen a TV commercial.
She's doing like bench dips, and I'm thinking that's how she got those triceps. Bench dips. No weight, nothing.
One more thing, and then I will let y'all go, because I know this is like the second biggest show of the year after the WWF acquisition thing, and that is, oh gosh, I forgot. Now I remember. When is that DVD coming out with Dave and Jim Cornette doing commentary?
Actually, real soon. Like, I just got like a note from them. I'm thinking within a month.
Great, because I've got all the WWF DVDs. I've got the one Pride DVD I've found, and the FMW discs, which are great as long as you leave the American commentary off.
Well, this one, I don't know so much about, like, the matches are all 80s matches.
Yeah.
If you like 80s Memphis, you'll like it. If you don't like 80s Memphis, you won't. But Jim Cornette is really, really good. Funny and insightful. I was just trying to keep up with him. He was really on for most of those tapes.
Well, I will let y'all go. Congratulations, Brian, on finally getting billing in the ads.
Oh.
And have Dick Beyer on again.
Hopefully we will.
All right. Have a good day.
Okay, thanks very much. Let's go to Ed in Texas. Ed, what's going on?
Yeah, Dave, I wanted to ask you about Corporal Kirshner. I know he wasn't in the Battle Royal, but I had read something about that he had to try to physically attack Vince McMahon at one time.
I don't know. I don't know that story. I mean, it may be true. It was so many years ago. I don't remember what got him bounced from the WWF. Just don't remember.
Okay, and also I wanted to ask you, what's going to happen with the women's division? Are they going to turn Chyna heel so she can fight Lita and Molly, or is it pretty much just dead?
I think they're bringing in Victoria.
Yeah, I think they're going to bring in Victoria to fight Chyna, and then Lita's going to have to wait her turn. Boy, that's going to be an interesting game when the time comes, because obviously Lita's going to surpass Chyna as a star. She probably already has, but in the pecking order she hasn't. And when that time comes, I wonder if how Chyna is going to take,
I think she might try
top.
And sabotage her like she did with the Cat and the King.
Well, we'll know. If something happens to Lita when that time comes, we'll know.
It ain't going to happen. She ain't going to get away with it because the Cat was totally dispensable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Lita's not.
I think Lita's more over than she is now.
Lita's more over than she is, and if she tries a power play on Lita, it'll backfire on her. That's my prediction.
Okay, and one final thing I wanted to ask about Spike Dudley. You had mentioned that you probably wouldn't do the job for what they're paying him to take the bumps that he does. And I
definitely wouldn't. Are you kidding?
And what I was wondering is, since he came into the WWF as a Dudley, does he automatically get cut into the Dudley profits on the shirts, or does he have to wait till he gets his own shirt?
I think that he probably won't get into the. I think he probably won't get any Dudley merchandise, at least for now, until maybe in a year. If he's a more, maybe, but I would think not now. No.
Okay.
If they do like a Dudley shirt and his face is on it, I'm sure he will. But as far as like the general Dudley's merchandise, I doubt it.
Okay. And since the guys like Nova and Chetty, they've been getting the dark matches, do you think that they're going to go to the WWF, or you think they're just going to hold them back till WCW?
They're more likely to get into WCW because WWF is all full for spots. So I could see it, or maybe I don't know. Yeah, I could see him in WCW. I
think Nova would be pretty good there in WCW.
No, Nova's a hardworking guy. Chetty, I'm not sold on Chetty. Okay. I was when he first started. I thought that Chetty was really going to be something, and then I don't know. I think as he got out of shape, and it's kind of like in this business now. There's a certain mentality that, everyone knows, for better or for worse, the rules. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have enough discipline to, keep, I'm not saying you should look like a bodybuilder, because the guys who do that, unfortunately, do very unhealthy things to get to look like that. But, there's a difference between a bodybuilder and looking, like just being in shape, and Chetty to show up at like a tryout and not in shape, that's kind of something where, from their aspect, from Titan's aspect, they're going to go like, they'll hold it against him because that's just the rules of the game right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and you were just talking about Jim Cornette and those kind of tapes. Somebody was telling me that you were involved in a match or something in Smoky Mountain with Wade Keller.
No, what it was I think Jim Cornette was like having fun one day, and he booked a jobber tag team called Dave Meltzer and Wade Keller, but it was not us.
Oh, okay.
He was just having
I didn't
fun
think
one
so,
day.
but that's what somebody was telling me. I was like, I got to check that out, as they did.
Nah, I never wrestled, never will.
Okay.
Maybe with Brian. I was watching Brian's tapes, and I decided that after watching the first 2 minutes of Vince McMahon against Shane, that I could do better than Vince if I was working with Brian, because Brian's actually a pretty good worker.
Well, that's cool.
But I'm not gonna lay there and take that finish. That's a little too much for me.
Okay,
the garbage can or the senton?
The garbage can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I ain't trying it anyway. I don't think I'd make it all the way across the ring.
And a full bank of calls. Let's go through a couple of these emails here from Andrew in Ontario. Except for a few obvious mistakes, I think the WF production team deserves a huge amount of credit for the show. Last night, they truly made it look like a massive event. Yeah, they made it look like just the whole aura of the thing was just so spectacular. And do you think they'll put on more matches like Angle and Benoit to educate the average viewer of that type of mat wrestling? I think it's more up to Angle and Benoit. If they want to do it, they'll do it, and if it gets over, it will. It seemed they were getting decent pops once the audience was clued in what they were doing. Yeah, Kurt Angle's so awesome as a wrestler. What did you think of the bump Helmsley took from the choke slam? Didn't look too cushioned and rather lame. Absolutely. I thought it really took away from the match. It really did. In reply to an previous email about the WF pay-per-views in the United Kingdom, I emailed the WWF about this. They said it was due in part to the time difference between the USA and the UK, so there's an answer. So Mike Kennedy, who goes, I'm curious, but you've never answered this. Why has the WWF not toured Japan? They toured Japan, I'm thinking about 5 years ago, and it was pretty much a total flop. And they haven't been back since. And since they can make so much money here, they just really don't think about going to Japan. Japan's got their own culture, their own ideas of wrestling. WWF, not that WWF wouldn't do well there now, because it absolutely would, but it's like, why go there?
Why bother doing it?
Why bother doing it? Because you can make more money here or somewhere else. Do you think that Heenan and Okerlund will be part of WWF from now on? Only on special occasions. Let me see. Do you think that they will do an injury angle with Rock tonight to sell Austin's heel turn and explain Rock's absence? I don't know. I don't think so. But, let's see, the Austin heel turn was horrible. How could they expect the Texas crowd to boom? Well, actually, I take that back. I know they did expect the crowd to boom at the end, and they were sort of trying to tell themselves that the crowd was starting to. But I don't know they really were. But yeah, I know they were sort of trying to say that. I would like you to comment on the really, really obvious blading done by Austin and Rock. Yeah, you're right. It was really, really obvious. In fact, after the show was over, I was watching the replay, and I saw the spot that someone brought up last night where, Rock kind of trips and Hebner goes down, and it's like he's just picking this blade up and then just cuts his forehead. I mean, it was, when you actually looked for it, it was, it was pretty bad. So have you seen Randy Orton wrestle? Yes, I have.
And it was bad either way. If you watched him do it, it was bad. And if you just watch him standing there and falling down like a total klutz, that was bad too.
Yeah. It says, Shane is hosting Raw at WF New York. Do you think he'll be with some of the WCW boys? I was told that their flights were all to go home, not to go to New York. But, obviously they can change the flights, but that's what I was told late last night. So that was the plan as of last night, was for them not to be on Raw. And I don't think that they will be. Because I was told the only mention of WCW on the show tonight would be something that Shane would do. If in fact, Shane would do it. Not even like that was even a given. Okay, anyway, Randy Orton, he's an NWA Nashville, and he's the exact same body type as Shawn Stasiak. He doesn't quite have the same body type as Stasiak, because he's already a better worker. I think he's got more potential as a worker. I don't know how his charisma is going to be, but I think Randy Orton, he's certainly got a chance. We talked about him. He's been wrestling for Cornette. Is there any chance that Jim Hellwig will appear on Wrestling Observer Live? No. No, none. Let's see.
Cornette?
Awful. What? On this show? No way.
Jim Cornette?
No, Jim Hellwig.
Oh, he said Cornette.
No. Jim Cornette was the one who Randy Orton works for.
Okay.
Let's go to Max in New York. Max, what's going on?
Doing, Dave. Yes, I'd like to comment on the WrestleMania. Well, I'd like to ask you a question about last night's WrestleMania. What's the angle with Trish Stratus? Why did she slap McMahon?
I think they had to do something for her to get revenge. I mean, she got real revenge. She slapped him once, and then she did a 50-50 fight with Stephanie. But she got her revenge finally.
I think the storyline will probably be that she was the person that did not give Linda
She didn't give Linda her medication.
To keep her in the wheelchair. Because they specifically asked her, and she goes, "Oh, of course."
Yeah, right. Linda and her conspired to do that finish, but Linda's the one who got the big pop, and her spot was, she was gone by the finish of the match anyway.
Right. And how many wrestlers on the roster for WCW actually?
Wrestlers are on the roster. Right now they've signed 24 guys.
20. Those are mostly the cruiserweights, right?
They're mostly the younger guys with low contracts. They're not all cruiserweights, but a lot of the cruiserweights, yeah.
Right. Okay. And sorry. This might have been asked already, but has there been any word from Bischoff yet with you guys?
And regarding what? I talked to Bischoff just a couple days ago.
Well, what did he say?
Regarding what? I mean, he's very disappointed that things turned out the way they did. I mean, actually, very super disappointed. But
and what is he doing now? I mean, his next move.
I mean, there is no next. TV doesn't want it. I mean, there would be a next if there could be a next. But he sees the situation in there. I think he's a lot more disappointed that there is no next than he is that Vince McMahon got WCW, because the idea that Vince McMahon could get WCW was always a possibility, and he was always planning on starting something up on his own. But realizing that the market will not allow it because no TV stations want it, that was a real bitter blow for him, and it should be for everyone that's a fan of this business. Does he see that
as a short-term deal, or as something that, this is the end?
Okay.
I mean, it's the end for now. I mean, who knows? A year from now, who can tell what what's going to happen a year from now?
Right, I understand.
But for now, it's the end. There's nothing for him. He may do something with Mat Rats, but that's, or maybe not. But what does that mean? That's just a limited thing.
Right. 2 more questions, and I'll let you guys go. What's the deal with Jerry Lynn and Tajiri and their status with the WWF?
Lynn was at TV Lynn was at
Tuesday, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was at TV Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday, and they just didn't use him. But I mean, he's there. He worked a house show in Baltimore last week, which would have been his first show. Right. And Tajiri has not started working for them. Maybe he'll be on that WCW team. I don't know. They haven't. I don't know when. But he's under contract.
Okay, good. And one last thing, and I'll let you guys go. Okay, Kane. Being that he's all human, he can talk, he can drive, and do a leg drop off the top of the Titantron thing. Now, will they unmask him most likely, like sometime soon?
It kind of killed the gimmick.
I wouldn't do it.
If they unmask him, he has to be deformed.
Ugh,
and he's not deformed, and plus he's going to look like Isaac Yankem.
Yeah.
But of course, everyone now, what though? Everybody would forget Isaac Yankem.
No, I mean, I know, but I mean, it's funny because in the WrestleMania program, I mean, they basically say that he's Isaac Yankem.
Oh, really?
I mean, they don't even like. It's not even like it's some secret or anything.
Wait, Glenn Jacobs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right, well, thank you guys. Nice, I like your show, and see you guys later.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Vince in Georgia. Vince, what's up?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, going all right.
Just wanted to call, give my thoughts on WrestleMania. I know I'm probably going to be in the minority here, but all this talk of best pay-per-view of all time and greatness, I mean, I don't get it. It was a very good show. It was a strong show in some aspects, but when I judge pay-per-views, I judge them from the first match to the last match, and when you look at the whole card as a overview, the whole thing,
there were
really
weak matches, no doubt about it.
I mean, out of the 11 matches, 5 of them, not counting the Battle Royal, range from par to not really good, and the other 5, like I said, not counting the Battle Royal. There was a lot of holes in this show last night, and I was watching the Benoit angle, and let me just say this up front, I would pay money to watch Benoit wrestle, but I was watching him last night, and this guy has no identity in the WWF. I mean, this week he's a face. A couple weeks ago he was a heel. They've given me no reason to care about this guy. I'm watching this, and the only thing I'm thinking is, not watching the match, but watching what's going on here is this guy's killing Angle's heat. Angle was the champion. Now he's wrestling him. I mean, I love Benoit as a wrestler, but he has absolutely no identity in the WWF. And I think, they just have not figured out how to properly push this guy yet. As for the TLC match, these guys have wrestled a bunch of times before, and I know it, you know it, everybody knows it. But they should have left that match alone. I just think they clustered it up with Rhino and Dudley and Lita. I was like, we know we've seen these guys a bunch of times. Let this be the final climax. Let them have it. Why did they have to cluster it up while adding other people? Rhino was in the match. The only thing he did not do in that match was grab the belts. He was in there just as long as everybody else was, basically. I mean, I love the Austin Rock match. The turn it reminds me too much of the Goldberg turn in a sense.
I hope not.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like a couple years ago, back in '96, when Hogan turned, you knew that was going to work right away. I mean, it just worked.
But you hated him anyway.
You know the differences?
Yeah,
I mean, people hated Hogan to begin with, whereas Austin, nobody hates him, so they got to make people. This is like a Flair turn. They got to make people go against what they really want to do, and sometimes. Like with Goldberg, sometimes that just doesn't work.
I know, and that's going to be the tough thing. Your question, my question, everybody's question is, how is this going to work? We're going to find out, one way or another, but it's one thing that we know right off the top of the back, it's not going to be easy to do. I enjoy the Triple H Undertaker match. I mean, it was nice. It was quick few throw together, but, they worked hard, and I'll be honest with you, I've been a WCW fan for, back when it was NWA, and watching Undertaker just, you sit there and you go, how can you watch Undertaker work his ass off? And then you watch guys like Luger and Nash that are, pretty much in the same age range and make good money. It just shows you that these veterans can still put on a show, and it just disappoints you when you see a guy like Undertaker just busting his tail. And I had to suffer through years of Nash and Luger, and it makes me sick knowing that, these guys could have learned something from Undertaker last night. It was just. And as for the McMahon,
there's you know what? There's your difference.
That's why Undertaker's still around where he's at, and the other guys are not.
That's why the other guy's company's not around anymore because they had the it was you know what, I don't blame the guys as much as I blame the management, because if it was good management they'd have sent him home when they started being a cancer, not after they killed the company. I mean, Nash was never sent home. Luger was sent home a couple of times. I mean Russo sent him home, and then they brought him back and gave him a bigger push than when he left. So what does that tell you? I mean, every one of the guys there that screwed up in some sense or went against the system or whatever it's called, went into business for themselves, I guess is the best term. Every one of those guys never really got punished for it and got rewarded. Scott Steiner, what did they do? They gave him the world title. It's like that really teaches, O'Hare and Jindrak and these guys, how to behave, and how to, those poor guys in the WWF, it's going to be culture shock for them because, they're going to, it's just going to be so different. When those guys got their contracts from WWF, or they'll notice that their contracts were being picked up, the first thing they did was they called Nash and go, Kevin, what do we do? It's like, Jesus Christ, this is the guy you're still going to for advice? You know what I mean? The guy who's not even in the business anymore?
But although
he's making a lot of money. So
I have a question. I mean, I know right now we're sort of in the down cycle with wrestling and in this new WCW slot coming up, but I don't know, something just my opinion is I just think, and like I said, I am a WCW fan. I just feel that it would be better if they just didn't even try with WCW. I just feel they should take the Sean O'Haras and these other guys, send them to Memphis or send them to Ohio or wherever, get them ready, and just build them up. Because I'm a huge Sean O'Hara fan, and that was the most exciting thing about the WWF acquiring WCW was finally this guy's probably going to get, could be the next Triple H now. And I just really think they should just don't even try with WCW. Just take these young guys, push them, and then when the time is right, bring back another show. I don't know. I just think right now, as a WCW fan and a wrestling fan in general, I just think we have some dark days ahead of us right now. But I appreciate the time, guys.
Well, we have some dark days as far as lack of competition. That's true. Let's go to Franco. Franco, what's going on? Franco.
How you doing, guys?
Doing good. Hey.
Couple of notes. I like that last call. The last call was a good call. I've been sitting here listening to the show. You guys have a great show. Great show last night as well.
Thanks.
But I'm wondering who writes for the WWF? Who are the writers? Because last night's show had WrestleMania 1 through 16 written all over it at some point. WrestleMania is once a year, and I don't know what you guys think, but you're supposed to have different angles come up, and you're supposed to have run-ins, and you're supposed to have new faces appear and old faces come back and whatnot. I felt they were all so scared, worried about the Austin turn, that everybody else was sort of just pushed aside. And the only thing that mattered, if you would have heard the commentating, Paul Heyman was horrible last night. Horrible.
Because I thought he was pretty good.
And I say that because I listen to the way that they're putting guys over and putting different angles over and whatnot. In that final match, they did what's his name?
Ross?
Heyman and the Cowboy there. They went crazy to try to put this heel over. This heel.
They knew they needed to.
That was their job, though, because.
It was
otherwise, if you just watch that show and you didn't have Jim Ross and Heyman doing their damnedest to get that guy over, all you would hear is the crowd not buying it.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the guys right now, believe it or not, that is so over is William Regal, and they put him out there in the first match. They don't do no prep for it. They don't do nothing. They don't have a run-in. They don't have nothing at all. It's just he goes out there.
Well, they had enough run-ins on the show.
There's nothing necessarily wrong with the first match, because a lot of times they want the first match to be the one that sets the pace for the entire show. So it's not like, oh my God, who do we want to bury today to put in the first match? It's more like, who can do a good opening match.
Yeah, well.
They want a good match. They didn't want to open with like Ivory and China. They stuck them in the middle, because they knew they wanted it to be kind of hidden.
I think Eddie Guerrero should have gotten that first match with Test, because their match was a pretty good match actually. And apart
they could have done
the
it.
The thing going in though is you don't know, because if you gave me that card, I would automatically say Jericho and Regal is going to be better than Eddie Guerrero and Test. It didn't turn out that way, I guess, but that would have been my first thought.
Yeah, just a couple of thoughts here. What's the story on, or what do you guys think is the story tonight when it comes to Austin? They really, the first thing they got to do, I think, is when the show opens, is they got to get Austin out there, and Austin's got to,
he's got to insult his
mother. He's got to insult his mother,
No, just Texas. If he insults his mother, they'll cheer him. They got to insult him.
He needs to come out with Vince to Vince's music. If they come out with Austin's music, it's all downhill from there.
Or last night, it was Vince that sort of went out in the ring and pulled the save on Austin. I think tonight maybe Vince goes out there and how about Triple H having a face turn? I think it's about time. The guy's job to everybody.
That's down the line. That's. At one point, that was actually planned for Mania, but I think they wanted to, they're going to do the Undertaker thing for a little while, and then I think after the Undertaker thing runs its course, I'm presuming he'll go with the face turn. And obviously, they're building to Triple H in Austin because they did that. They already got that match in the can that Triple H won, so they're ready.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much, guys. Good show.
Okay, let's go to Alan.
How you guys doing today?
Doing pretty good.
All right, I have some questions. I heard something on, I don't know how true it is, for WrestleMania next year, 18, where it's going to be held at, maybe?
Uh-huh.
Well, not where it's going to be exactly, but I heard it's going to be in Tampa next year. Is that true or a possibility?
I don't know. I think that they've already made plans. But they did not announce anything at the show. Like, remember last year they announced the Astrodome pretty far ahead of time.
Yeah, they announced it last year.
Yeah, so whatever it is, I think it's probably not locked in stone, because if it was, they may have announced it last night.
Mm-hmm. Also, I heard with the WCW guys, one of the guys there was Johnny Ace. Is he gonna be involved? Like, I mean,
nobody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, these decisions haven't even been made yet. They haven't, because of WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they bought the company, and they haven't really thought about what they're going to do. A lot of that stuff, the next 2 weeks, they're going to do a lot of planning on what they're going to do with WCW, start offering people jobs, start getting writers, office people, the whole bit. Right now, road agents. I mean, he very well may get a job, but, these are decisions that haven't been made yet.
Now, if he was going to get a job with the company, I remember, seeing him years ago when I used to follow wrestling in Florida, and I know he's wrestled in Japan for a wrall. Is he still, do you think, a good wrestler? Like, do you think he would...
Oh, he won't wrestle. Johnny Ace isn't going to wrestle. If he does, he'll be like some sort of a booker or a Finnish guy. He's not going to wrestle.
I see. Also, say, the Goldberg goes to the WCW, down the road, and they, start to feud with Austin. Do you think that would be, say he comes in a few months from now, do you think it would be best that they would win the feud to, like, maybe next WrestleMania, not the rest of the feud? Because, I mean, after a while, like, for example, we've seen Austin, Rock, Triple H, it gets to the point.
I mean, the reality
is... That's a WrestleMania main event.
Yeah, the reality is that it's, very unlikely he's going to come in, and they're certainly not thinking along those lines that he is. So, I mean, there's not going to be any plans made for that. I mean, there's just, again, it depends on what kind of a buyout that they get and what kind of, everything's just so up in the air when it comes to Goldberg. But the odds are he's not going to be coming in. And Austin and Goldberg could draw a lot of money if it's promoted right. It's a real tricky thing with Goldberg, because they got to make him a killer or he won't mean anything. But to make him a killer, you're going to upset an awful lot of people that he has to kill. Because if he only kills, guys that are on the bottom, then he hasn't killed anyone. He's going to have to kill, an Undertaker or a Triple H to really make it work. And I don't see WWF booking it that way, because it's just, I mean, they could, it's money, and maybe it's and I would want to do it.
But they need to live with it, because there's nowhere else to go.
I could think
if that's what they want to do, then, it's not going to be something like WCW where guys are just going to complain about it or not come to work or anything like that. They're going to have to do it.
They're going to have to do it, but will they make the call? You got to, will Vince make the call?
Mm-hmm. So you think?
I mean, you don't know who'll make the, you don't know who'll make the call. I mean, there's, a lot of times there are obvious things that they don't do because it doesn't fit into, they don't see it, or it doesn't fit into their ego.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think they need him. WC right now, the only guy, maybe one of the top guys that they have is Booker T.
I don't even know that he's under contract yet, although I'm sure that they'll end up with him.
I mean, they need somebody, because if you're going to say that none of their guys...
They need a lot of guys.
With Austin, down the road, you need somebody, a top guy under contract.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
I mean, something they got to look at is, say that they want to bring in Goldberg or Booker T or anybody, let's just say Goldberg, it's going to come down to, do we want to pay this guy $2 million, or are we going to create a company with a bunch of lower card guys that is not going to make it, and we'll be out $10 million and whatever other costs that we put into this thing?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, looking at the big picture, the $2 million a year may be an investment and not something that, it's going to screw up everything, and guys are going to complain about it, but it's better than losing the company.
True. But they've got that tight salary structure, and they haven't budged on it yet.
What are some of the...
But they haven't had a need to yet, because it's not like their company is, it's not like WWF is going under. I mean, if they don't get WCW off to a good start, why just because it's under WWF ownership is it going to be in a better position if they're booking it the same way, and if they have even less big stars than WCW had when it was losing $60 million?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need a big talent. And besides, didn't they have, like when the Big Show first came to the WWF or Mark Henry, didn't they have big contracts that they invested in?
Yeah, well, Big Show's got a huge contract. Mark Henry's got a good-sized contract, and that's why they've tried to get him to quit.
That's what I'm saying.
But those guys don't quit very easy.
I think they need at least one or two guys that if it meant giving them that money, and maybe, and they could still make a lot of money even if they didn't make as much with merchandise sales, and they could wind up making even more than, what they were going to get per year. I mean, it's possible.
Well, I mean, McMahon can afford anyone he wants, and he can pay him anything he wants, so it's just a question of what he wants. And he makes these decisions.
And what they want, too.
Well,
if they want to do it.
I think a lot of the story's going to be told after the first couple of weeks of TV. I mean, if that show's doing like a 1 or a 1.5, he may see that $2 million for Goldberg for some of these other guys as something that maybe he wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
One more quick thing. You guys were mentioning about Bischoff. There was a rumor, I mean, it's probably a rumor anyway, that on some message boards they were talking about, or NWA, they wanted to purchase the NWA name or something like that. I guess that's just something ridiculous.
Bischoff, I don't. But there's, I mean,
why though?
But for what it's like what? There's no TV. That's the problem.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think down the road there'll be another wrestling group. I don't know how good they would be able to compete with the WWF, WCW, but probably when there's TV, then they'll.
When there's TV, there'll be another wrestling group. Without it's this thing. The lifeblood of this business is the television, and if you can't get on TV, you can't compete. No matter how, even if you have better talent, you couldn't compete. And it's going to be pretty hard to have better talent. It's almost there's not enough talent out there to get better talent.
True. All right. Well, it's nice talking to you guys again. Keep up the good work with your show.
Thanks very much. Thanks. Let's go to Artis in Chicago. Artis.
Yo, how you doing, guys?
Doing good.
My question is, I was wondering, I've been watching the WWF for a long time, and I was wondering, what's going on with the tag team division?
What do you mean?
Kind of got Edge and Christian and the Dudleys and the Hardys still fighting for the top spot.
Oh yeah. Well, I got to definitely go for Edge and Christian because I'm from Toronto, and I was wondering, anywhere down the line, Edge and Christian gonna sometime get another title shot.
They got the belts last night.
Oh man, I missed it. I just got back from Detroit.
Yep, they got the belts last night in the tables, ladders, and chairs match.
Oh man, because I about a week ago I just saw the Fanatic series, and with their last meeting they did was at No Way Out or something. And I really have to commend both of them because I'm really big fans of them.
They're good performers, and they're funny as hell.
Yeah, and I also love Matt and Jeff Hardy, man. I just respect the things that they've done, and especially I was wondering what's going on with Lita. Is she going to continue managing them, or she's going to be doing something else?
I think a little bit of both. I think she'll be with Matt because they're doing that love interest thing, and then she'll, obviously wrestle singles, and I don't know what they'll do, if they'll build up her against China, or it doesn't seem like a good matchup right now for either side. It's too much trickiness in that.
Yeah,
but she'll wrestle against one of the women and do some sort of a program, I got a feeling.
Right.
Can you imagine China trying to take that diving Frankensteiner off the top rope?
Oh, yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah, and I was also wondering what's going to happen to Bradshaw and Farouk. I heard they're one of the top tag teams right now.
They are there. I think they're kind of just filling out space right now. I don't think that there's any real plans for them. They got a gimmick, people kind of pop for them, but there's not a whole hell of a lot they can do with them. So they're just kind of there. We're gonna get going we're gonna get going, okay? Because we got a lot of calls we got to get to, okay?
Okay, keep up the good work.
Okay, let's go to Dave in is it San Diego?
Hey Dave, how you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, first of all, you got some idiots that are calling, man. I mean, that last caller was ridiculous. It's Christian win the belts. Come on.
Well, they didn't read the newspaper this
do you
morning.
think anything that show last night was as caliber of Bret Austin at the WrestleMania from a couple years back?
No. Nothing was that good.
Yeah.
There was a lot of great stuff, but no.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I think the card was somewhat overhyped,
I love the show.
Overhyped going in or overhyped after it was over?
Oh, going over, as it was done. Everyone was saying it was pay-per-view of the year. I kind of, I don't know.
The thing that makes it good was there's a lot of, there's just a lot of little things they do for WrestleMania that they don't do for other shows. And it kind of when WrestleMania doesn't make it, last year's WrestleMania I thought was a disappointment. It's like a bigger disappointment. But when it does, it almost seems like it's a better thing. But I really liked a lot of those matches a lot. To me, if you get 3 great matches on a show, then hell, that's worth it. I saw many pay-per-views where I saw no good matches, so.
Well, I had an idea, too, to elevate Benoit, because now they're doing the whole Austin as a heel thing, or they're going to try to. Why not put Benoit in that face role, at one of the next coming up, In Your House type pay-per-views, and have a Benoit Austin match?
I don't think that's any time in the near future, but I think, somewhere down the road they might do that.
They'll do it.
They got to get Benoit over as a big time babyface first. It kind of worked last night, but everyone just hated Angle. But it's been a while. I guess they started 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it's taken some time for the fans.
Yeah, but they false started, and they
it's not something they can do right now.
they did. Okay, the first turn was totally botched up and stupid. Then they made him a heel on the very next week's TV because they knew they botched up. And then they turned him again. You know what I mean? It's like people don't know what to make of this.
I mean, if they put that match like on TV tonight, it would be like Austin is total babyface and Benoit's total heel.
Yeah, well, I think they could do something where like Benoit puts the crossface on Vince or something, and I don't know.
Austin stomps him.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, thanks for taking my call, guys.
Okay, let's go to Marcus. Marcus, what's going on?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey,
it's going good.
All right. I want to know how did you guys enjoy the Guerrero test match?
What about it?
I mean, you guys enjoy it? Do you think it was pretty good?
It's pretty good.
Wouldn't call it good. It was okay.
Decent, probably.
Decent. It was definitely decent. Yeah.
Okay. And real quick, one of the guys who called earlier, he was like, there should have been a run-in for the Jericho and Regal match. That match had no need for a run-in.
Especially in the opener.
Right, exactly. I don't think any of those matches had need for a run-in except for the TLC match and, of course, the main event, to turn Austin heel or whatever.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, all right. Thanks, guys.
Okay, let's go to Abby. Abby, you're up next.
Hey, nice to talk to you guys. I got a question about WCW as far as in general when Vince McMahon is done, like, doing whatever he's doing with it. Is he eventually going to shut it down?
I think the inevitability is that's what's going to happen, yeah.
I mean,
I think it just depends on a lot of different factors, but probably it'll end up being shut down. I mean, if the thing's successful and it can be successful for 5 years, I don't see why you would shut it down, but I don't know if it's just too much stuff for one guy to do.
Growing up, like, before I sort of knew about wrestling behind the scenes and that kind of thing, it was like you always read the magazines and you read all the, like, dream matches or whatever that would take place, and then ultimately would when, people would jump ship and go to, crossing federations or whatever. But there's also talk of people jumping from WWF, like Shane McMahon recruiting people. Is Triple H going to be one of those people?
None of that stuff's been decided, but I mean, it's certainly a possibility.
Do you have an opinion as far as who would be the best talent to take over and promote, as far as
Rock.
somebody that the WWF hasn't done well with?
Rock would be the best guy to go over there for a million different reasons because he's the only one. He's the only one that will.
Rock. Okay.
He's the only one that will guarantee viewers switching to that show if they can't see him any other place. I mean, even Triple H, if it's the only show that they'll see him, he's not going to help the ratings that much.
Right.
I think his two biggest upsides are the fact that A, he's a huge star, and B, he'll do jobs. If they send Hunter over there and it gets all political and everything like that, and Hunter's seen as a big star, but nobody ever beats him,
right?
It'll just kill it.
Does he really? I'm assuming he has that much clout because of his position, but is there truth to that? And
it's not position.
It's just he knows what he's
really
doing.
hard for them to write him out of the storyline right now, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Well, all it is that it would be hard, but all it is Shane signs him under Vince's nose, and that, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's just the way to do it.
And ultimately, there is a plan for the interpromotional pay-per-view type stuff.
Oh yeah, but not. They'll do the interpromotional unless they just can't do anything with it. I mean, if this thing just flops from day one like an XFL,
right,
they may never get to an interpromotional day. But the idea is to rebuild it, and when it's really strong, then do the interpromotional. And there's no timetable for this other than hopefully someday it'll get really strong and they can draw money with the interpromotional. Right now, I mean, there's a lot more money in WWF guys against WWF guys than any WWF guy against this WCW crew. I mean, if there was a Bill Goldberg, it would be different, but there isn't a Bill Goldberg. So,
right. One last question. As far as another promotion starting up that might compete with Vince, do you see Rupert Murdoch and Fox or any of those people in that direction doing something like that?
You have to have somebody like that, but if they were that interested, they had their opportunity a week ago and they said no, so they're obviously not that interested.
I gotcha. Okay. Well, thanks a lot, man. I keep up like everybody else. I love this. Talk to you later.
Thanks very much. We appreciate that a lot. We really do. Let's go to Scott in Kentucky.
Hey guys, what's up?
Not too much.
I just tuned in the show a little bit ago, so I don't know exactly what all's been talked about. But have y'all heard any rumors where next year's WrestleMania will be at?
Nothing's for sure. I mean, that I've heard.
Somebody called in with Tampa or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I have a friend that lives in Tampa, and everybody down there is carrying on that it's been confirmed. I'm like, well, I'll believe it whenever I officially hear it. So
I will sort of check, but I have a feeling that they won't tell me. Maybe they will.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember where exactly it come from. I think somebody from the Tampa area was at WrestleMania last night.
Oh, it's probably Bubba the Love Sponge.
He got told by Hogan.
What it was,
That's right.
They said that they talked to one of the cameramen about it. And
if that's the case.
He's disposable. Yeah, that's why I didn't.
That's as good as
awful hard to
confirmation.
believe. So I told my friend, I said, well, I will believe that whenever I officially hear it straight from the WWF that it will be at the Ice Palace in Tampa.
If it's anyone but Teddy Long.
That's right.
They don't have good enough sources.
When will we see some of the other ECW guys show up in WWF like Jerry Lynn?
Jerry Lynn, potentially
Maybe
tonight. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he was there. He was there at TV last week. They just never used him.
Yeah, I did hear that he was at Access over the weekend. Is Tajiri still going to be in WWF?
He's got a contract with him. They just haven't started him yet.
Do you think that there would be any other ECW stars possibly show up in WWF?
Yeah, probably on the WCW side. I mean, Dreamer will probably show up in the WWF just because I think they feel like, I don't know why, but I think that they're going to use him. And then as far as some of the other guys, I wouldn't be surprised to see some of the smaller guys end up on the WCW side when they start the WCW thing going.
Do you figure if they bring Dreamer in, it's going to be definitely him and Raven feuding?
Oh God, no.
On down the road.
I mean, it's like
a match, but
it's a possibility. But as far as doing the Dreamer Raven feud, I just don't see it. I mean, I think the Dreamer in WWF, I could be wrong, but I think that it's not going to be very pleasant because, without the gimmicks, there's really nothing to Dreamer. You know, I mean, he's not a big guy. In ECW, he could be a big guy, but in WWF, he can't be a big guy, and he's just. He's too physically beat up. He's a nice guy, just physically can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
There was something else. Now that they own WCW, what are the chances of possibly Lance Storm coming to WWF? Maybe
he is. I mean, he's going to be in. He's going to be in the WCW side because he has been signed. Yeah.
Do you think that they might get the Impact players back together?
No. No. Lance Storm's going to be in the WCW company, and Just Incredible's going to be there.
I meant him coming to WWF on Raw.
No, they're not. They have no talent on the WCW side. They're not going to let someone like that go to the WWF side yet. I mean,
blame it.
A year from now, possibly, but it's not happening now.
But do you possibly may see Lance Storm becoming heavyweight champion sometime on down the road, WCW?
Most likely, I would say no, but you don't know 100%. It's like
they pushed him awful quick or awful hard whenever he first came in, and now he's just
right. But that was a different management, and they have different ideas.
Yeah, no doubt.
You got it's like you got to figure out how would, the guys who are going to make the call. The fact is not. I mean, ultimately the call, of course, is Vince. All right, but the guys who are going to make the call, which would be the writers and the bookers, have not even been hired. So for me, you're trying to ask someone to think of how someone's going to think that hasn't even been hired yet. It's really hard. Like if it was like Johnny Ace and Arn Anderson, I could at least think, okay, what would Johnny Ace and Arn Anderson be like? But they haven't even been hired yet. So it's like there's so many steps away that to predict who and what they're going to do what with, it's just so premature. It's not really. You really can't do it intelligently.
Mm-hmm. Back on the Tampa subject, after them having almost 68,000 people in the Astrodome last night, I just don't understand why they would want to have WrestleMania at a venue that only holds around 20,000 people.
They've done it before.
Most years they do.
Now that wrestling's even more popular than ever, I just don't understand why they would want to have
Wrestling was more popular than ever about 2 years ago. It's on its way down.
Well, yeah.
Last night was probably the defining moment of this boom because, it was the big crowd and the biggest gate in history, but in American history, not world history. But as far as, I don't know. You don't know where the business is going to be in a year.
Yeah.
And you book a 60,000 seat. Now, WrestleMania, I think, will always draw because it's got that history behind it. Mm-hmm. But then again, look at Starrcade.
If things are going down, I don't know if they can pack another 67,000 or 65,000.
If things are down, they can't. No, look at Starrcade. What did the pay at Starrcade was what, 3,600 or something at the DC.
Yeah.
So when you're cold, you can't sell tickets, and when you're hot, when you're hot, you can sell tons. What can you say?
Yeah, I remember a few years back when they had Starrcade down in Nashville. I went to that one, and it was, it was at the Municipal Auditorium, and it was pretty packed, and it's most definitely went downhill over the years.
Well, the Hogan, I think it was the Hogan Piper Starrcade.
Yes, that was it.
Okay, that was like their first big sellout, because I remember I was actually reading back old Observers, and that Starrcade, people in WCW, they had like this period where the business was really, really down. And then that match like ushered it in, and they had their first sellout in a long time, and there were people in the company that were taking pictures outside of the sign that said sellout.
Oh, that's right, of the sellout sign.
Of the sellout sign, because it had been so many years since they had sold out like a real, like that Nashville Auditorium is like 9,000 seats or whatever it is. It's not even a big building, but they had been so long since they had sold out a building of that size that it was like, and it's funny because they went from that, never selling out, to like taking pictures of sellout, to, selling out the Georgia Dome.
13 or 17 in a row or whatever it was.
I was like 20-something in a row. And then they went back down to where, they were, back to where they started.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing because, there was people lined way on down the streets of Nashville waiting in line. And I believe, matter of fact, A&E was working on a biography at the time because they had a camera asking people questions. And I believe I remember seeing one of the A&E documentaries, and it was a lot of footage from the Nashville Starrcade.
Yeah, we got to get running.
The Champions won. I can't remember because the very last Clash of the Champions was in Nashville.
Yeah, we've got to get running. We're totally out of time. We're actually overtime now. Okay.
You guys keep up good work, and I appreciate answering all my questions.
Okay, you're very welcome. I want to thank everyone for calling in, and Brian and I will be on here tomorrow. We're going to have Tom Zink here tomorrow, so we're going to have a lot of fun. We'll be talking about Raw and talking about anything else that you guys want to talk about when it comes to wrestling. We'll see you tomorrow at 5.